Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
The short answer is it's very difficult.
We'll tell you why forecasters aren't saying how much snow we could be getting this season.
We'll tell you how students feel about the campus construction and when the new buildings will be ready.
We'll show you Native American artifacts that are just down the street.
It's sunny today, but we'll show you when you can expect more of this.
Not one, not two, but 5 wins for the Aggies this week. In sports, I'll show you which teams thrived under the pressure and which teams not so much.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
From the campus of Utah State University in Logan, Utah, the Department of Journalism and Communication presents the award-winning newscast, ATV News.
The driver passed away from injuries involved in the accident.
A truck struck 2 other pickup trucks in a fatal crash. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Kaylee Kincaid.
And I'm Davis Moore. UHP says a 44-year-old man from Preston, Idaho was killed in a collision on US 91 just north of Richmond Light at 6:10 p.m. on Monday. According to Sergeant Jason Kendrick, a silver Ford truck headed south crossed into oncoming traffic and struck 2 pickup trucks.
The first one that was hit saw the headlights coming in his lane and he swerved left and he got a glancing blow down the passenger side, and then the pickup truck continued into the northbound lanes where it struck the victims.
The driver of the second truck, a silver Dodge, was not wearing a seatbelt and was killed on the scene, and medics took his wife to the hospital. No one in the first truck, a red Chevy, was injured, and the driver of the truck that crossed into oncoming traffic was also rushed to the hospital. The cause of this crash is still under investigation.
A second storm blew through Cache Valley Monday. About a 1/4 inch fell and no roads were closed. Claire Ott joins us live outside the Ag Science Building to show us what the weather looks like right now.
Sunday and Monday we got snow. You can see here in the valley, mostly it's melting, but forecasters are looking at what's in the mountains. The snow builds up in the mountains and melts into rivers and reservoirs come spring. Climate data analysts say this supplies about 95% of Utah's water. They say predicting the snowpack can be difficult. So far this year we've had more rain than snow, but that doesn't necessarily predict the rest of the winter.
That would look like it's equal chances for above normal, below normal, and normal.
Climate data analysts say they can only hope snow like this sticks around, and we have another above average snowfall year that's similar to the last 2 years. The climate data analysts we talked to this season said we've gotten more rain than snow so far. That rain actually melts the snow, and what we want is for that snowpack to build up as much as possible. Back to you at the desk, Kaylee.
Thanks, Claire.
We told you about the new Mehdi Haravi building on campus, but what about the other buildings going under construction? Guest reporter Cooper Page tells us what students think about these projects.
These are the sounds plaguing Utah State University.
I find it annoying. I'll be walking on the path and there'll just be cars and then I have to avoid them. I think it's kind of disruptive.
While students understand, they are still frustrated.
I mean, it's kind of loud. It's kind of not as pretty as it used to be, but it's necessary, I guess.
Much of the construction right where students live.
I live in the LLC, so there's more construction over there. Just is in my face all the time.
One of the main buildings being built, an institute building for the LDS Church.
It seems like they've been taking a long time. They've been doing construction since I moved up here before school started, so it's been a long time.
The biggest complaint amongst students, the time these projects are taking. And speeding up now could be challenging.
And I know it's going to slow down in the wintertime, which is super unfortunate.
The campus is known for its beauty, which leaves many wondering, when will this construction be done? Reporting, Cooper Page.
Thank you, Cooper.
We contacted facilities for a response to those students' comments, and here's what they told us. As winter is coming, USU Facilities says most of the projects are on time, while other projects are not. They say they have more projects in planning, design, and construction, now more than any other time in USU history. The projects on schedule include the Gardner Learning and Leadership Building, Canyon View Parking Terrace, new student housing, Ridgepoint Hall, and the new Veterinary Medicine Building. The SER renovation is a month ahead of schedule, while the NEMA Art Education and Research Center is behind schedule. Facility says the Institute building is not USU property, but the Logan Institute of Religion hopes to complete the building by next fall.
Logan City residents are fighting to save 100-year-old trees from a new waterline plan. These century-year-old ash trees stand along a canyon road with green bows around them. The city plans to add new waterline and cut the trees down to complete the project. This is the project overview where the city will pull the waterline and road improvements. And here's an artist rendition of what the road would look like. The Public Works Department will widen the north side of the road where the new sidewalk would be. One Canyon Road resident says she and her neighbors are upset about the plan. She says the trees are part of what give the neighborhood they live in character.
They're really integral to why I live in the island, why I live on Canyon Road, and to lose them would be heartbreaking.
Sand says she and her neighbors formed a group known as the Canyon Road Coalition. We reached out to the city and asked them about the waterline. Andy Neff from the project responded and said the city recognizes the concerns from the residents about the ash trees, and they have a proposal to plant new trees. The city will hold a public meeting on December 5th to review the project.
The student government passed an amendment to the USUSA Constitution, making it so students can't run for multiple offices at the same time. The Logan Executive Council says the change benefits students by making it so USUSA elections last 1 week rather than 2, and by preventing candidates from having 2 campaign funds. Executives say the removed clauses were intended to make it easier for students from across the state to run for the Executive Leadership Board, but
it just didn't really work, and statewide students weren't any more incentivized to run for ELB positions. And so ultimately it was best to just put it into 1 week, 1 position.
After the Executive Leadership Board, Statewide Executive Council, and Logan Executive Council each approved the amendment, they held a special election for students to vote on it last week. Lyman says 78% of students voted yes for the amendment.
The student government says they're looking to give you a reason to be thankful as they host Thank You Week. The events committee is handing out treats and hosting some kind of activity in the TSC hub every day this week from 11 to 1. Yesterday, the students laughed as they read jokes others had written and left behind. The events council says they hope these snacktivities, as they call them, help lighten people's spirits as it gets darker sooner.
Even though it's getting cold and you're in your house and maybe hibernating a little bit, there's still things to be grateful for.
Continuing Thank You Week, the USUSA says they'll be giving out pumpkin and cinnamon rolls tomorrow while people write thank you notes. Then, in the evening, they'll be hosting moonlight and music and serving a free Thanksgiving dinner at 7 p.m. in the TSC. Thanksgiving is coming up so soon. Kesley, what do you have going on for the holiday?
I'm just going home to visit some family and hoping the weather will be great for that. Joining us at the desk is Claire Ott with ATV Weather. Claire, how is the weather looking out there?
Well, today it's pretty sunny, but also pretty chilly, and it's looking to be about the same for Thanksgiving. Coming up, people are layering up for the cold, and there's some snow on the ground, but not a ton. Current temperature is 34 degrees.
You've heard her name in Aggie sports. Today we put a face to the name coming up.
The surplus store. Someone's trash is about to be my treasure.
We have cords and cables here. We have bags full of towels and sheets. Do you want this fold-up mattress? Because we don't.
We got keyboards, paint cans, whatever this is, typewriters, computer monitors.
It's destiny on the line, and we want you at Surplus.
Products are not guaranteed to work. All sales are final. This commercial is not endorsed by Utah State.
Welcome back to ATV Weather. My name is Claire Ott. Looking here at our state radar, we don't really have much. Now we're looking at our national radar. We got some storms across the United States, some in the Midwest, some in the Pacific Northwest. Moving on to our state radar. We don't have really much going on currently in Utah as far as storms go, which takes me to our 7-day forecast. The end of this week will be pretty temperate and have some sun, and then going into this weekend we'll have some more precipitation, some more snow, lower temperatures, and so you can expect that. You're all wrapped up on ATV weather. Back to you at the desk, Davis.
Thanks, Claire. If your appointment for the Red Cross blood drive here at Utah State was canceled on Monday, this might be why. The American Red Cross had to cancel almost every appointment for their blood drive yesterday when their software crashed and they were not accepting walk-in appointments. The American Red Cross has more blood drives coming up here in Logan, Nibley, and Providence. You can find locations and times on their website.
You could be a 1 in 500 match that saves someone's life. One good thing to come from those donors showing up to give blood, they might end up saving a life in another way. Registering to be a donor only takes a few minutes. Emily Edgington, a student here at USU, did some tabling for a project because it means so much to her family.
Right before he passed away, he was able to get a match from the bone marrow registry, and he didn't really have enough time to receive the donation, but it was special to us that he was even able to find a match.
First, you will fill out a form with contact information. Then you will do 3 different cheek swabs. Lastly, you will put the swabs together in an envelope and they will be sent for testing. There is about a 10% chance they will ever call you for a donation. By registering to become a bone marrow donor, you could give someone a second chance at life. Summer Diamond joins us in the studio with Kaylee Moss.
Welcome back to ATV News. Joining us in studio, we have sophomore Summer Diamond, who is on the USU soccer team. And Summer, first of all, congratulations. You guys just won the Mountain West Championship. I understand it's back-to-back, right?
Thank you.
Okay, so just tell me, how are you guys feeling, you and your teammates, coming off of this awesome win this high?
We feel amazing. It was obviously the best feeling to get it back-to-back. We worked so hard last year to get that first one, and to do it again was amazing, and we were really proud of it. So.
Awesome. Well, Summer, we are so excited to have you in studio. We've been keeping up with all of your highlights and everything just throughout the season. We're going to take a look at this goal right here. And if you don't mind just telling me, what are your thoughts going through when you are the first one to put a point up on the scoreboard for Utah State?
Yeah, I think in a lot of games where it takes a minute to score, it feels really good to just get our team on the board. In that particular game, I remember UNLV is a very good team, and it was very hard to get a goal up there just with how the game was going. It was very physical, but it felt really good, and my teammates set me up perfectly. So.
That's awesome. And obviously you talk about how it is a little bit hard, especially when you haven't scored in the first half, whatever it might be. How do you stay motivated? You guys only had 2 losses this season, is that correct? And so how do you guys stay motivated when you are down, or it just isn't a super high scoring game, or you are losing?
I think we just always go back to the basics of what our coach has been telling us. I mean, it's easy when you are with a lot of people who want to win and will win at any cost, and so it makes it a lot easier when you're surrounded by people like that. But I think in terms of when it's coming down to the wire, you haven't scored, just making sure your mindset's right and you're persistent with what you're doing, and hopefully and eventually the goals will come. So.
Awesome.
And Summer, you've had a very successful season this year and last year as well. What started your career in soccer? How did you start?
I mean, I grew up, my parents are very athletic people, and they wanted to get me and my sister involved in sports in any way they could, just to be active, just to have fun. And I remember I played soccer for a bit, very young, didn't love it too much, and didn't know if I wanted to keep doing it. And then my parents were like, 1 more year, and I was like, all right, well, I'll figure it out. And I stepped on the field that year, and I fell in love, and I've never stopped falling in love with it. I just love it more and more every day. And yeah, it's just been my goal ever since I was younger to be at this level and to play here, so it's been awesome.
That's so awesome. And obviously it's paid off for you. You guys have an amazing program. You guys are doing amazing things. So we cannot thank you enough for joining us in studio today. And we wish you the best of luck with the rest of your soccer career.
Thank you so much.
And back to you at the desk, Kesley.
Thanks, Kaylee. It's so great to get an inside look at all the big games our Aggies have played in.
Yeah, I agree. And joining us with ATV Sports is Addison Stoddard. Addison, what other big games do we have going on for the Aggies this week?
Yeah, with the end of football season coming up and basketball just starting to ramp up, it is a busy time of the year for the Aggies. Coming up in sports, USU snatched the win from Hawaii this weekend in football. I'll show you the plays that led the Aggies to victory.
How our art museum got these pieces.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
This was just one of the shots made by graduate student Ian Martinez. Welcome back to ATV Sports. Thanks for joining us. I'm Addison Stoddard. Utah State men's basketball played in the Spectrum twice this week. First up, they played another Utah team, Westminster. After a slow start to the game, Westminster number 33 knocked down this wide open three-pointer. USU big man Aubin Gatiese makes this hook shot on the inside, scoring 2 points for the Aggies. Then Ian Martinez knocks down this three-pointer, and this one, and this one. Ian Martinez ended with 7 out of 9 three-pointers this game, and 24 points total. Carson Templin also took a shot from the three-point line, which added to his career high of 16 points. After almost turning the ball over, Westminster number 22, Ryan Rubeska, lays up the ball. The Aggies then went on a 7-0 run, a 9-0 run, and a 10-0 run before halftime, going into the locker room 40 points ahead. The second half had a lot of pushes from the Aggies, including the pass from Mason Falslev to number 7, Dexter Alcano. With a setup from Braden Housley, USU freshman Isaac David slammed the ball down on top of Westminster. The final score for the game was USU 117, Westminster 53. Men's basketball then took on Montana State in the Spectrum, winning 95-83. Ian Martinez and Mason Falslev both had career highs with a combined 57 points. Utah State women basketball took on Cal State Bakersfield in the Spectrum at 11 a.m. The crowd looked a little different this game since elementary school kids were on a field trip to cheer on the Aggies. The Aggies started out by making layups like this to start the game off with a 9-2 run. CSU beat Garrison Freeman, then worked the ball down into the key and finished with a block called on the play. The Aggies kept their lead by putting pressure on in defense and finishing layups like this one by number 32, Jamison Heaton. In the third quarter, CSUB players connected to break Utah State's press and scored, closing the gap to 11 points. In the fourth quarter, number 10, Carly Lata made this three-pointer from the corner. Heaton then works her way into the post and makes a move to score for the Aggies. She scored a total of 19 points this game. USU held on to their lead, finishing the game 67, CSUB 51. USU women's soccer played Washington State in the first round of the NCAA tournament. The Aggies took 8 shots on goal and held the Huskies to 3 during regulation play. The Aggies fell in the PKs, going 1 for 3, while Washington went 3 for 3. Utah State volleyball played 2 matches this week at home. Let's take a look at the game against UNLV. The Rebels came out in the first set with this spike from player number 1, Jada Ingram. USU answered back with this dig from libero Kendall Thomas and kill from number 1, Lauren Larkins. USU Kaylee Ray then spiked the ball down, and it looked like UNLV would save it, but Kesley Watson dumped it back over the net. For the Aggies, UNLV number 21, Basia Lato, then had a cross-court kill. USU Andrea Smimowski then serves this ace, winning the set for the Aggies. In the second set, Tierney Barlow had a big kill. Then UNLV Alejandro Alcon served the ball with the dig from the Aggies. The Aggies was just over the net, giving Ingram the chance to slam it down. Barlow goes up for another kill. In the third set, UNLV takes the second set. In the third set, you have a big block from Kaylee Ray, but it falls out of bounds. Basia Lota put the ball. The Aggies missed this dig, winning the second set for the UNLV. In the fourth set, Kaylee Ray has this big dig, and followed by a dig from UNLV player right through the hands of the block. UNLV then goes up for another dig, and the set ends with Medmedovic blocking it to win the set. This moves into the fifth set, where UNLV Ingram had this kill right up the middle of the court. Then Watson tipped the ball over the block, but UNLV returned it. Watson swung again and got the ball through the second time. Ray then had this kill and this one to finish and to secure the lead for the Aggies. UNLV then had this service era, finishing the match. The final score was USU 3, UNLV 2. The Utah State men's cross country team placed 4th in the 2024 NCAA Cross Country Mountain Regionals. They were selected for the 5th time in program history to compete in the NCAA Division I National Championship. Utah State football took on Hawaii in the Maverick Stadium on Saturday after a snowy start to the day. To kick off the first quarter, USU quarterback Spencer Petras makes a 41-yard pass to wide receiver Odotia for the first touchdown of the game. Utah State defense then breaks through the line and stops the quarterback 2 times before he could get a pass off. Hawaii quarterback Braden Schrager threw this interception to Utah State senior Jordan Vincent, who led Utah State with 5 tackles this game. About 7 minutes into the second quarter, quarterback Bryson Barnes made a 2-yard pass to Josh Sturtz to bring the score to the Ag 24, Rainbow Warriors 0. At the end of the quarter, Hawaii was able to get some points on the board with this field goal. Then Vincent intercepted another pass, making this his 2nd pick of the game and Utah State's 3rd takeaway of the half. In the third quarter, USU makes not 1, not 2, but 3 more touchdowns. The final score for the game was Utah State 55, Hawaii 10. You're all wrapped up on ATV Sports. Back to you at the desk, Kesley.
Thanks, Addie. Kate Peterson from the documentary class at USU shows us where Native American artifacts are now.
Before it was a school, Intermountain was the site of Bushnell Army Hospital and served wounded soldiers of World War II. By January 1950, the Bureau of Indian Affairs converted the hospital to a federally run Native American boarding school. 542 students came in the first year. Intermountain started as a school for students from the Navajo Nation located in the Four Corners region of the United States. I am the daughter of a Dene boarding school survivor, and I am the descendant of multiple Native American boarding school survivors or alumni, depending on however they identify themselves. In 1974, Intermountain opened to all Native American students, with up to 100 tribes represented.
When I first came here, I was 10 years old. They had a whole bunch of buses that were lined up that they brought us from different agencies. And I came from Chinle Agency. That's where I was born, in Chinle, Arizona, on the Navajo Reservation. The most I like about Intermountain is when I first came here, I was lonesome. I didn't know what to do. And I have a lot of support throughout the teachers and a lot of staff. But I'm so grateful at, 15, 16 years old, Intermountain had taught me how to do a lot of things in life that helped me to be responsible for myself.
Intermountain hired Alan Hauser, the famous Chiricahua Apache artist, who was the artist in residence and art teacher at the school from 1951 to 1962. Hauser painted murals in high-traffic areas such as the gym, cafeteria, library, and dormitories. These paintings by Hauser were incredibly empowering for the students. They showed them that their culture was important enough to be placed on a public wall.
We had a lot of artwork at the school that we would learn to enjoy, just learn how to do a plant or, you know, how to draw a horse or something like that, that the teachers would take their time after school to teach us to learn something to enjoy. So all the artwork that was in the auditorium was very special. You should just go over there and look at it and see how it was painted and all the different color that was mixed and all the detail that was put into it. A lot of it had to do with like Navajo riding horses, the desert. It reminds you a lot of the home site back where I came from. And we didn't have any vehicle when I left there in 1967. Most people were still on their wagon. A lot of people did that kind of artwork that makes you where you're not so lonesome being away from home. You know, you could just look at it and say, that reminds me of some rock or some mesa or something back home that where I came from.
I joke that I learned art from the kids, because at first I was trying to teach Renaissance art history kinds of stuff, and these kids were not so interested. I believe that Intermountain may have been different from other boarding schools because so much of the faculty, the staff, were natives. And to have someone so famous as Alan Hauser actually teach here, I think those kinds of things helped to make this a special place.
Encouraged by their teachers, the students went to the walls of their dormitories and painted home. During an era of assimilation, an art teacher's gift of paint and permission was no small thing. After the school closed in 1984, the property, which had 40 buildings, stood vacant for many years. Utah State University purchased the land in 2012 and tore down most of the buildings. 12 paintings, mostly done by students, were cut out of the interior walls before demolition, but placed in a storage building. The Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art at Utah State University is professionally conserving the murals to preserve the remaining historical artwork from Intermountain for future generations. The murals demonstrate the high quality of art education students received at Intermountain.
For Native Americans, arts are essential. It's a basic part of life.
They were not just blank slates to be brainwashed, assimilated, and detribalized, to have their connections to home erased. The students revealed their critical thinking and that they were sustaining their ties to home and their homeland. The artwork that flowed from Intermountain Indian School shows a creative genius and students' resistance to shedding their identities as Native Americans. The students of Intermountain painted their stories on the walls, and now the story lives on.
If you want to see the full documentary, the Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art is playing it. Thanks for watching this edition of ATV News.
You can watch this and other editions on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with another look at Cache Valley construction.
Have a great week, Cache Valley.